Hello and a very warm welcome to Cultural Communication Confidence with me, Victoria Reynoldson, and a very warm welcome to this particular episode where we are sharing 7 tips for a successful informational interview. Now, this episode is part of a mini-series we're doing on the podcast at the moment. So we have been doing the last few weeks a number of different topics to do with job searching and job applications and how to use your communication to its maximum effect. And so we started off in week 1 where we talked about strategies for CV and resume success. In week 2, we moved into first impressions in networking. So how to make an impactful introduction and how to talk about yourself. Week 3, last week, we talked about outreach and crafting compelling cold messages. So how to connect with people when you don't know them currently. And this episode today is a nice follow-up to this one, to the last one. So I will put the links to all those episodes in the show notes below. Today we're focusing on assuming that you've had a successful connection with somebody, for example, via LinkedIn. You then set up a follow-up meeting, an informational interview, where you're going to be able to use the opportunity of quite a limited amount of time, maybe only 15 or 20 minutes, to find out more about their rich insights from their career path, what they've discovered, what they've learned, and their advice to you. Now, it's quite important to say that it's really worth preparing for these conversations because you really want to make the most of the time that you have. So treat it like a conversation that you're preparing for. Yes, you will have certain questions that you want to ask, but do make it be clear, it's not just an interview where you ask questions and they answer. If they say something interesting, make sure you follow up on this. Show that you've got good listening skills and you're adapting to the conversation. How should you prepare for it? Well, certainly think about some specific areas that you want to cover. Dress-wise, dress appropriately as if you are having a work meeting, even if it's virtual. And then really do lots of research around the person and their company and companies maybe that they've worked in the past. What you want to really think about is what are those areas that you want to cover and talk about where perhaps you can't get the information just from their LinkedIn profile or from Google. Now you want to open strongly. So do a brief introduction when you go on the call. Remind them of the connection that you have. So hopefully there's something in common, whether it's a person or a connection, maybe you're alumni of the same educational institution, or you have common interest areas. And then really you want to go straight into the questions. And as a reminder, those questions are really about helping you get insights about how to progress forward with your own job search. So as an example, you could take their career path, asking them about what decisions they made along the way, what they learned from that, any challenges they had through their career path, and any advice they would give you as somebody who perhaps is a bit further earlier in their career. You could also ask them questions about their company and the industry. But again, the trick here is not to just simply ask questions that you could find out via Google, but to really consider what might be interesting to know, such as what is the outlook or the future trends that are coming up, what might be important for people who want to work in that industry in the future, what kind of skills might they need to have. You can also ask their advice for finding a role. So, if they were job searching today for the kind of role you're looking for, what would they say to you? What might be useful to consider in terms of events to attend, networks to be part of? It might be that you need to go and meet some other people. It also might be that you have some gaps in your experience. Maybe there are certain skills or qualifications that it might be useful for you to gain before you can take that particular step. Now, at the end of the conversation, as a reminder, what you're doing is not directly asking for a job. I've mentioned this several times during this podcast mini series, but it's really important to iterate this once again. That's not appropriate in this kind of meeting. You set it up as an informational interview to help you gain insights that help move you forward, whether you're looking for a new job, changing career, or changing direction. But what might be appropriate to ask at the end of this type of informational interview is potentially a referral. So you might ask, is there anybody in your network that you suggest that I speak to? Would you be prepared to introduce me to them? So that might be one route. Another route might be asking them if there are any other networks or events that you should attend. And again, if they are, depending on the type of network, that might require an introduction from them. So it is absolutely fine to ask them to take some action, to ask them to follow up on your behalf, as long as you're very specific with the type of request that you're making. And right at the end, I think it is incredibly important to express gratitude. I'm a great believer that people remember when you are courteous, when you treat the conversation as a connection which you value. So there are a couple of ways you can do this. Right at the end of the meeting, expressing gratitude and thanks, following up and letting them know what happens next, and particularly following up and letting them know if they take action on your behalf, so they understand the impact of this information interview, how they were able to help you along your journey to hopefully successfully getting that ideal job role. So there we go. This was a short episode today, but hopefully a useful way for you to think about how you approach that informational interview conversation. As I mentioned right at the start of this episode, this is the fourth and final part in the series, and we have covered everything from communicating successfully on your CV and resume, through to how you introduce yourself in networking, to reaching out to people you don't know to connect with them, and then finally here today, setting up a great and successful informational interview. If you are somebody who's on their journey to their next role, and as I'm recording this right at the end of 2023, maybe you feel 2024 is the year when you want to get to your next job role, then I hope this mini-series has really helped you along that journey and reframe different ways for you to connect with people, to have conversations, to find the jobs that will work for you. If you need further support in this and would like my help with your communication skills, both in writing, for example, CVs and resumes, or perhaps in how you're communicating in your networking or with your on LinkedIn, or how you're meeting people for conversations, then I would be absolutely delighted to help you. I have a variety of different ways that I work with people in communication coaching, and I have specific programs for people who are job searching right now. So if you'd like to find out more about that, please feel free to contact me. You can do this in two ways. You can message me on LinkedIn. My personal profile over there is Victoria Reynoldson, or you can contact me via www.coachable culturecuppa.com/contact. Thank you so much for joining me here today, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Cultural Communication Confidence.